got into the waiting room and I just sat there in this very complicated feeling of grief and also relief at the same time, because I'm sad that I lost my mother, and I'm sad that I lost this figure who, although I resented at times, she's still literally my hero because she taught me how to be the way that I am today. But then also understanding that I have full freedom now, and what am I going to do with that freedom now that I don't have to be in a role of a caregiver? So it's like baby girl, we're gonna go on a journey. That's what I'm just excited.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers, bitch.
Cheers to that.
Clink.
Yeah.
Also, I must know, in terms of censorship.
No, there's no censorship.
G.
Let's go R.
NC 7.
We're pretty R-rated.
R-rated.
Yeah.
Okay. You said. Get ready.
That being said, Genesis, welcome
Parental
to the
advisory for you bitches watching.
Yeah, you bitches watching.
Hide the wife. Hide the kids. I'm just kidding. Put them to bed.
Buddy, welcome to the show.
Hi.
It's an honor.
Well,
do you think this would happen one day when we first met? And to bring context, we met through Justine.
Through Justine, and I feel like I remember like some of the first couple of days meeting you. I'm like, I would love to be on your show. And I think at the time it was like, okay, but you had a lot of other guests and a lot of other plans. Yeah. Also, you didn't really know me. I was just like, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. I would like to be on your show.
Because I know Justine did some research before we started dating and just dug deep into some episodes, and I'm sure we watched shared a few. Oh, did you? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
During like the preliminary stages, like I met this podcaster. I was like, who? And then I don't know her. And then we definitely did like I don't want to say we binged, but we found you on YouTube. And I just remember like I was laying on my couch. She had like a inflatable mattress. This was our setup.
Good times.
This was our bubble, right?
Yeah,
and so she was just like sprawled out on the floor, and we're watching you on the TV, and then she was like, "Yeah, I'm seeing this guy," and I'm like, "You're seeing this guy? Okay, period. Let's go." Yeah. So that was my like introduction to you.
All right. Well, and what were your first impressions?
Definitely like, okay, this person seems pretty legit. Okay, he has a podcast. He's in the healthcare field. And then of course, Justine being Justine, she's like, but this other guy though. And I'm like, okay.
Good for her, playing the field.
Well, I get playing the field, but it's like, okay, play the field, but now we're making decisions now. Like you're gonna put this man at like group 3? Like your group 1 selection.
Well, I appreciate that.
See, and now you're here. Like that's why.
Now
right?
we are here.
Now we are here, exactly. But yeah, I mean, playing the field, I get it, and I mean, in her episode too, she mentions that she felt like, well, I don't know if this person's gonna have time for me, and I know quality time is super important to her, so I think it was just that vetting process. And you win, bitch.
I won. We're winning. We are winning.
I win.
So we, Genesis at the time was Justine's filter. So we had to definitely meet. We had dinner together. And my first impression of Genesis was someone who values their time and space and boundaries, as well as like being unapologetically you and yourself. And I want to go into like what were some formative moments that led to that. But another part of this conversation that we're going to have today is you're currently in a transition space.
Yeah.
You've held a variety of different roles within retail and hospitality. And you know what you want to cultivate for the next chapter. But the quote, and hopefully this next quote makes us go even more viral than the last 3 weeks have. But this quote is from Wendell Berry, who's like a poet as well as like an agriculturist or a farmer, and he's written over 40 books about traditional roles in America and how industrialization is removing us from traditional roles.
Fucking up all our shit.
So this is a piece from a larger quote. It's called goes, between the place we are and the rewarding place we never expected to be lives the place we don't want to be. And it's important that we stay there a while, live the unease, and inhabit our resistance.
And unease the resistance.
The unease of the resistance, and embracing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Genesis, I don't get that from you. You're in this transition phase, and you're very graceful about it.
Yeah.
You're looking at it as I think you said it the other day, as a rest period.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's important. So the transitional period that I'm in right now, I was unfortunately laid off. I was working in corporate real estate. That was the most recent role that I had, and was working there for a year. And with the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, I don't want to say I guess, yes, that essentially their funds were there. And then I found out that we were affected when I was working one day. I was like, oh, I need to pick up some supplies, and pulled out my corporate card.
It got declined.
Bitch, when the corporate card gets declined, I was like,
something's up.
So at first I was like, oh, maybe I just did something wrong. I was like, maybe my Apple Pay is a little messed up. Let me just use the physical card. So I used the physical card. Still wasn't working. I'm at self-checkout, just like in pure panic, where I'm like, I'm not forking up my coin for this shit. I don't need to do that. And I call, and I can hear the guy over the phone. He's a little nervous. He's like, hold on, let me just check a little bit further. And I think I was on the phone with him for at least like 15 minutes. I was just standing there, and then he mentioned like, ooh, yeah, so have like your company has been affected by the Silicon Valley Bank thing. And I'm like, babe, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I just need to know if you can turn the shit on or not. And he's like, I can't. You're going to have to contact your administrator. And I'm like, okay. So got off the phone, flagged someone over. I was like, can you cancel this transaction and put all this shit away? Because I'm not...
Wasn't a lot of shit.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of stuff. And I even offered, I was like, I can put this stuff away if I need to, but like, it's just not going to happen. So I contacted a coworker of mine. I was like, hey, if you're out in the field today, don't use your card. It sounds like something's going on with this bank. And he had no idea what was going on either. And on my Lyft ride to some of my appointments, I started catching up on what was going on, because it happened. I guess it just happened so fast. It was like on a Friday, there was something going on.
I thought they were going to take care of all the clients. What the fuck?
I have no idea.
How are you going to just destroy businesses like that?
I don't know. And I don't know if I know enough about like
you're fucking with people's lives.
Right. I don't know how the financial structure works in a business setting where it trickles down in that way. So about 2 weeks later, there was this meeting. The CEO gets on this call and announces like, hey, we're going to have to do some layoffs because of the bank collapse. We're laying off 17% of our workforce. If you are one of those individuals, you will be getting a private call this week. That was on Monday. And I think I had my call for Wednesday of that week. And
without any notice?
Without any notice.
That you're on this list?
Well, to be fair, I didn't even know that the call happened. I knew that the meeting was happening, but I didn't attend the meeting because I didn't want to. So, yeah, that's just me. So I didn't go to the meeting. So here I am just like, just a normal week, whatever. And then I see this call that's attached to someone that I knew from HR and my manager. So it's like the night before, and I'm stoned. I'm just like having a glass of wine, and I look at it, I'm like, am I getting fired? I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then I thought, I'm like, well, what did I do? I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Let's jump on this call. Let's see what happens. Next day happened. So it's Tuesday now. I reach out to my manager, or my manager reaches out to me and says, hey, I don't expect you to work today or tomorrow. So this is Tuesday, Wednesday, because of everything that happened on the meeting yesterday. Like, so sorry that it had to happen this way. And so I DM him and I'm like, what is this regarding? Because I'm lost. And he goes, did you not go to the meeting on Monday?
Fucking Genesis.
No, bitch. I did not go. And LOL, even more reason to like, But yeah, he mentioned, we were affected by the bank, and so your role was affected. I'm like, damn. So obviously that first like couple minutes of it was just like, ugh, like, are you serious? Like, and of course I'm saying, this wasn't a decision based on performance or whatever, which is in my mind still like, are you sure? Because you had 8 of us to choose from. Why me and this other girl? Like, there's some other people that you could have chose.
Did they tell you?
Of course not. I mean, I know why, and that's because I'm a rule breaker. Like, I get it.
Didn't you get the job done?
Yeah, in my own little way. The job is done, right? Doesn't matter how we got here.
Yeah.
But, of course, me exercising a lot of boundaries at work. I'm not a yes person at work. I'm not the person to come in early. I'm not the person to stay late. But still, the work gets done. That's always been my thing. Right. So I think a lot of that, and at least with a lot of superiors that I've worked with, they don't really like that. They want someone who can conform and all that. So I want to say that's probably one of the biggest factors, which is fine. I have no issue with that, because getting laid off, and I think for a lot of people, when you get laid off, I don't think that, well, hold on, let me start over. When you get laid off, obviously, yes, it can be super detrimental to, I mean, especially if you've been working to get to that role for so long, or if your identity is really attached to working, I can see how getting laid off is devastating. But for me, it's like, I see the other side of it where it's like, okay, you laid me off, fine, I get a severance, that's great. Based on like unemployment and like government benefits, it's a lot easier to get approved for benefits when you get laid off versus quitting. So for me, you funded my whole summer. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a break. And you are indirectly telling me that you can't manage your money to pay my check. My bills are paid. You can't pay your bills. So that's embarrassing to me.
Damn.
Think about that. You can't afford the whatever $50K a year to fund someone's employment. So you have to let them go. You have to cut costs, right? So what you're telling me is that you can't pay your bills, and
that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. So I was like, so I got on my exit interview. The HR person was like, you're taking this so well. You're probably getting this mature conversation. And I started laughing. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you made your choice. Like, you can only imagine how difficult it is from this perspective. I'm like, yeah, it should be embarrassing for you, because you have to tell 17% of this workforce that you can't pay the bills. So yes, I can see how this is embarrassing for you. Have a great day. I'm going to order $80 worth of Chinese food that you're paying for, and I'm going to sit my ass on my chair. I'm going to pet my cat. I'm going to watch some fucking TV.
Yeah.
And I'm going to chill.
And throughout all your positions, did any of these, when you have left these positions, like it was never a wake up call of like, I wasn't good enough?
Only one, and that was with Lush. And that was but to be fair, I don't think it was never like a good enough thing. It was more along the lines of, it was 7 years of hard work, and I essentially hit the pinnacle of my career there, and then the pandemic happened. So it was really, really hard to transition during that time. And I think a lot of it was probably just exacerbated because of the pandemic. But there were definitely a lot of moments where I'm like, fuck, I'm not good enough, or interviewing for roles and it's like, you're not ready, or you need to work on X, Y, and Z. You have to do this in order to advance into the next role. So I think I had a lot of that during that 7 years. But otherwise, I mean, that was what I was probably in between like 23 and like 30 during that era of work. So it was a chunk of time. Anything prior to that, though, never.
So that was your first like adult job.
I would say like work that I took seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, every other workplace that I worked or that I've been at was more, I'm just here to fund my lifestyle.
Sure.
I'm here to clock in, clock out, and do my thing.
How you have this very present or short-term perspective on life, it seems. and I might be wrong, but like, is there any part of you that is planning for 20, 30, 40 years down the line?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something I am working on. So I've definitely like partnered with my therapist on it. Like, I don't ever think about it in that way. Like, I really only think about the next like year or the next like couple months. I'm very short-term planning. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Like, I don't really look like
you met Sufei at the party.
Yes,
from
yes,
Shy
yes,
Lee
yes.
Oil, and
Which,
she,
oh my God.
sweetheart.
Let
huh?
me tell you, I've been putting that shit on
Oh,
everything.
yeah, same.
Okay, hold on. Wait. Salads, eggs, bitch.
Did you try ice cream yet?
What?
Did you try ice cream?
Ice cream?
Vanilla ice cream? Like they say on vanilla ice cream.
Oh, period. I'll probably get some ice cream later today. Whoa, true.
Sweet
Yes.
and umami? I don't know.
Yeah, with like a little bit of dairy.
But they, trying it for a few weeks now, they are the only chili oil that, I don't know if they claim to be crisps, but there are chunks in there. There are like crispy shallots and garlic in there.
Correct.
It's good.
Yeah. Which okay, because I feel like the standard chili oil is just the oil and like maybe one flake. And then the only other chili oil that I've been like devouring as of late has been like from Trader Joe's. And it's like just garlic though. It's just like crispy garlic. So when I took the spoon and found like plants in here, I'm like, oh, yes. And yeah, so I made this like warm salad bowl. I did like chicken and pesto and like all this stuff. And then I just like, I'm not joking. I stirred the jar and I just went like this. And I just like gave it a stir, and I'm like,
that was your dressing.
oh my God, it's
Yo, so
whatever you're doing in that kitchen, I'm gonna go into that dumpster and I'll find out. But
Sufei, she is one of the few people that don't plan to leave the primary job. This is simply a second job. It's not a side hustle that is going to be a day job. She is very happy and satisfied in her day job. And the main reason is because it creates stability. It's the benefits, it's the health insurance, it's all that stuff that comes with that, along with the daily work-life balance. Sure. And it's rare. And when I first met you, and I heard you're kind of bouncing around from one job to another, like you don't meet too many people like that. And going back to you don't know why you don't think long term. If I were to take a guess, is it because I want to say it's back to your mom. Yeah.
If we really had to dig deep, it does definitely stem from the instability of growing up.
Yeah.
It was always this, not necessarily survival mode, but it was more like I can't picture things in the future because I have to figure out what I have to do in the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And then eventually when you get to that third month, I'm tired, right? Like I need to rest now so then I can plan the next couple months, right? Yeah. And at first, I definitely saw that as a handicap where I'm like, I should think long-term like the rest of my cohort. They're thinking in 10, 15 years plus. I can't do that though. Or like, I don't really want to do that right now. So it was always what's going to be my plan for the next 12 months, maybe the next 14 months, and then I'll go from there. And that's been pretty beneficial for now. To
bring context to that, there's kind of two perspectives in the sense that, your mom passed at an early age.
Yes.
As well as, and I only heard it from Justine, and you can probably do it, obviously much better.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that you had to vent for yourself while your mom was dying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she started getting sick. Like if I had to really go far back. So she's always been sick. And for the most part, she hid that from me. I think she really wanted to just ensure that, hey, I'm the adult in this situation. I'm going to be fine. We're going to be fine. We're going to go ahead and live the rest of our lives. We're going to be okay. And she continued to reassure me that, hey, I'm fine. And she pretty much was a diabetic, didn't really take care of herself. She was always working. Single mom, I get it. Dad wasn't in the picture. She's not only taking care of me, but she was also taking care of her parents as well. So my grandparents on her side. And my so eventually my grandparents like moved out. They moved back home to the Philippines. And then my mom was constantly at work. So a lot of my adolescence was by myself. So this is how you're going to cook. This is the bus system. This is how to get to the grocery store. This is how to navigate the grocery store.
Yeah, they say latchkey, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So it was a lot of those lessons very, very early on. And when I was in grammar school, I really loved that I was learning those things quite early. When I got into high school, however, that's when it started to turn, and obviously because your self-awareness starts growing a lot more as you get older.
Yeah.
And I started getting angry. It was more along the lines of, because you didn't plan your life correctly and take care of yourself, now not only are you fucking up your shit, but you're fucking up my shit
At
now.
mom?
Yeah. So there was a lot of resentment at times, and I would try as hard as possible to understand that she is doing this because she has to take care of herself and me. But then deep down, it would be this idea of resentment towards her because she wasn't taking care of herself or taking care of me properly.
Yeah.
Right? Especially in high school, when parents are home, parents are able to support their homework or their extracurriculars, whatever the case may be. So a lot of those formable years they're by myself. So I'm just roaming around unsupervised.
Where'd you be going? Where are you going?
Oh, where am I going?
Yeah,
bro?
where are you going?
So I grew up in Ricker Park.
Okay.
So Ricker Park, Buchanan Village, Logan Square, Humboldt Park.
Oh.
Like those areas were my grounds. So and this was way before any of those areas were like the creme de la creme to hang out at. Girls ghetto. It was the ghetto. And yeah, I was living in a building that was the rundown building on the block in Ukrainian Village. I mean, roaches in the cabinets, like
Yeah.
we were poor, babe.
Okay.
Like welfare kid, grew up on the link card,
Now,
like
side tangent, is this why what's your relationship with money now?
my relationship with money now is, I would say it's okay.
Because you don't hesitate to spend money on nice things.
Because it's like for me, money is a concept, right? Like it is Bitcoin, Dogecoin, like the dollar, the euro, like they're all the same, babe. So for me, I'm only here for a limited time only. And I want to be here for a good time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend my coin.
Yeah.
However, and obviously within reason, like, right? Make sure your bills are paid. Make sure everything is taken care of. And whatever we have left over, fuck it. Spend it. You want the thing? Go get the thing. You want to go on a trip? Go on the trip. You want to upgrade to first class? Baby girl, if you can afford it, go for it. But if you're going to be out here being like, I can't pay my rent, but I'm taking this flight tomorrow, then now we got a problem, right? Have I done that before? Absolutely.
Okay.
Right? I'm not perfect. But yeah, that's my relationship with money.
Okay.
It's, to me, my idea of money is that it's just the tickets to get to the thing that I want. I mean,
Yeah.
right? Like when you're playing a video game, same thing. You earn it, and then, I mean,
No, that's good.
When the game ends,
That sounds
you
like-
can't spend that
Sounds
currency.
like a healthy relationship.
Go for it. Spend it.
Some people buy things because it compensates for what they didn't have growing up, right? So it was just a little dig into that.
Sure.
Going back to Ukrainian Village and growing up, you also had to fend for yourself when your mom got really sick to the point where she couldn't take care of you or herself.
Yeah.
She needed help. So what was that like?
It was truly some of the darkest times in my life.
Yeah.
It was not pleasant at all. Very much not taking care of myself.
And what happened?
So what was happening during that time? It was probably during my junior year in high school where it started getting to the point of really bad during this time, where she was in and out of the hospital on a regular basis.
Would you ever take her to the hospital?
Oh yeah, there would be times where I take her to the hospital.
Did you drive? You didn't drive at that point, right?
No.
So what? CTA? What'd you do?
Oh, we're calling the ambulance, girl.
You just call the ambulance and
Yeah.
you're there with her. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're calling the ambulance, and we're just gonna charge it to the insurance, like whatever we have to do. Or yeah, there'd be times where it's like, yeah, maybe either that, or she would get herself there because she drove, so she would take herself to the hospital at times.
To give people context, what was she ill from?
Right. So diabetes, and then all of the things associated with it. So she had congestive heart failure, renal failure.
Wow.
She's on like 14, 15 different types of medications. And just and you know, the hospital visit for her was just, okay, I'm going to get back on my feet, and then I'm going to go home, and then we're just going to continue this process all over again. So I already started accepting the idea of this may or may not be her last time on this hospital visit. Maybe. I don't know.
Did you have a switch in perspective at all? More from like resentment to gratitude, or?
Still resentment. Definitely resentment. And of course, more because I was so young, like, why is this happening to me? I don't deserve this, right? Like, and I think that's just natural.
It is natural.
And there was a lot of comparison at that time. Like, all these other kids are thinking about college. All these other kids are thinking about their futures. I have to think about what the fuck I'm going to do tomorrow because my mom's sick. Or I have to think about what I'm going to eat tonight. And I couldn't think that far. And yeah, I think that, again, like you mentioned, that has a lot to do with why I can't really picture that in the future. It's just what I know. It's just what I'm comfortable with. But yeah, in and out of the hospital. And at some point, and she was still working too, as a live-in caregiver. She was a nurse for 15 years.
Okay.
ER nurse, OR nurse. She did it all.
Badass.
Very badass. She was that bitch, I will say. And I don't exactly know why she stopped being a nurse, but I do remember a brief period in time where she was super depressed because she wasn't working. And my grandparents kind of just masked it as like, she's going through something, but I was too young to understand what was going on. So she eventually became like a live-in nanny. She became a live-in caregiver for a lot of different families. And that just like heightened my resentment even more towards her at times, because she would say how, and not at her fault, right? But obviously she's just being appreciative of her work. I'm taking care of these kids. This family's having a new baby. I'm so excited.
What
and
about
it's
me?
like,
Yeah.
bitch, I'm literally back home eating fucking Vienna sausages out of a fucking can.
Jesus.
Like, what the fuck are we doing? Right? And yeah, we would argue. We would argue, and we would just push back and forth at times. She would say, you know, I'm doing this for us. And I'm like, it seems like you're doing it for you. And you know, she would just, again, reiterate, I have to do this because I'm the adult in the situation, and I'm sorry that you're affected in this way. And and so that was tough. It was a tough time during that era.
Did you start picking up jobs at that time too?
I started working at 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was like getting your own money then? You know, like
super fun. Still same relationship. Like since day one, like I got the check, we're going to the currency exchange, boom, we're going to the store. We're getting anything and everything that I want. We're going shopping. I just want to like live my life then in this way. So
yeah.
And yeah, I had to learn how to manage a household at that time by myself. At like 12, 13. I started beginning at like how to manage a household then, and then by like 15, 16, 17, 18, it just started getting progressively like I'm fed up. I'm getting irritated because I mean my dream was to go to college. Like I wanted to go to school, right? And obviously being in an Asian household, school was important. And it's like, bitch, I can't go to school if you're in and out of the goddamn hospital. I want to go to New York. You can't take care of yourself. So it was a lot of that back and forth. And then at 19, at this point, she couldn't work anymore.
Wow.
So I was just in the state of now I'm angry. Like I'm so
You're putting your future on pause.
yes,
to take
because
care
now I have to become a caregiver now ever since I was 14, 15, now I have to be the caregiver now. And yeah, my life went on pause. The building that we were living in, the landlord sold it, and we were essentially homeless for a little while. So my mom ended up living with her brother. Yes, living with her brother, and I don't have a great relationship with her family because they are very hyper conservative, very very religious. So me identifying as a queer person, they were like, see, it was never said, but it's like, I know what the fuck you bitches are talking about.
What did they say?
Oh yeah, it was always like and I would tell them too, like, this is who I am. Like, oh, but like maybe it's just a phase. Maybe you'll find a lovely woman that you're gonna care and love for. And I'm like, those women do exist, but that's not my life, right? Like, yes, there are women in my life that I love and I cherish, right? But that's not the future that you envision for me. And breaking that mold was just not acceptable to them. And even for my mom, she had me out of wedlock. She essentially was the other woman in.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I'm one of those babies. My mom was a baby mama.
Justine tells
right?
me you're resolving some of these relationships.
Yeah.
In a positive way,
in
right?
In a positive way. Oh, yeah, God. Absolutely. And yeah, so I wouldn't say I was out in the street, but I started living with some friends kind of here and there. That's how actually I met Justine. It was my first time.
Wow.
I was living with her ex at the time and his family. And from like 19 to like 21, I was just saving as much coin as I could. I moved out of his family's place, and I got a roommate at the time, and then lived there for about a year, and then I moved out into my place. So I had an apartment right in the corner of Augustin, California, like next door to the California Clipper, and me and my mom lived there for about a year, and then a year went by, and then she passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that. So she came back with you.
Yes,
Were you the caregiver then? Were you taking care of her?
Sure was. Yeah. So
how did that happen? Where she left her brothers for you?
So my her brother decided to move her out of their trash. Trash.
Sometimes it'd be your own people, huh?
I don't claim them. Never had, never will. And if they are watching at home, confirmation, I do not claim you, period. Yeah, so she had to my knowledge, she had like a health scare, and it was too much for them to handle.
Okay.
And they decided to move her, right, bitches, hoes, area codes. So they decided to move her out to this, like, they're like, we found a place for her. We found it on Craigslist. There's like 2 other folks who live here. We found her a room. We're moving her there. And I'm like,
with roommates? What do you mean?
Exactly. Just like 2 other senior citizens who are living in this like basement garden apartment in like off of Lawrence.
Like an unofficial group home? Like, what the fuck?
I think so. So they move her there, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what? Hold on. I'm like, I understand why I'm not living with y'all, but why can't y'all take care of her? Like, I am 19, babe. Like,
and that from that time, how often would you see your mom, if ever?
If ever, sometimes twice a month.
Oh my God.
Maybe once.
Now,
yeah.
Was that hard? Because I know were you still resenting her? Like you're doing your own thing at this point, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like half and half, where it's like I knew that I had to do this because I have to start taking care of her, right? And then on the flip side, there would be that feeling of, I don't want to do this. I shouldn't be doing this at 19. And then understanding that, you know what, as much as I don't want to be doing this, as much as I don't want to accept this life and this lifestyle I'm currently living, the reality is this is the life I'm living right now. And I have a choice now to either show up or I can give up. Like, I have to decide right now. So I made the decision to, like, all right, I guess I just have to step up. So when I got our place, it was so satisfying because it was a moment of, thank God I can breathe a little bit easier. And yeah, there was some resentment like living together as well. Like I can tell that there would be moments where she was trying to make up for lost time and, hey, do you want to just like sit on the couch and like watch TV? I'm like, no.
So she was still with it at the time? Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. And like, do you want dinner? Do you want this? I'm like, I'm okay. But at that time, it was because I was just used to living alone.
Sure.
So it was hard to then, after so many years, have this adult figure in the house, right? Especially when it was like
all this freedom, right?
I've always had the freedom. So
Yeah.
it'd be like 11 o'clock, like, bitch, I'm going out. I'm gonna go get fucked up, or like I'm going out to the bar, and she's like, oh, but it's late. I'm like, no.
I'm living my life.
No, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
But I'll be home later. Thank you so much. Yeah, and then she passed, and that was it's such a, I have no words to describe that feeling because it was
So it was very sudden.
It was very sudden, yeah. And she was in the hospital for a couple days. Doctors were like, she's gonna come home. All right, cool. Like just another visit tacked on to the however many visits she's had already. So I didn't think anything.
It was
of
normalized
it.
at
It was
that
normal,
point.
yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And then I woke up. I was getting ready for work, and then I got a call from the hospital saying I needed to go to the ICU immediately. And there was a hospital not too far from where we were living, so she was there. So finished my shower, got out of the shower, and I was like, I think this might be the one. But see, I've said that time and time again, so I wasn't sure. But this time it really felt like I think this is the call.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was walking into the ICU, yeah, the door's open. I'm walking in. All the nurses, all the staff are just looking at me. They're looking down. I'm like, fuck. Like I think this is
Was
it.
she still on a ventilator or
No.
She was dead already?
Gone. She was
dead.
gone.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
She was gone already. So the charge nurse or head nurse, I don't know. Charge nurse. Okay. Charge nurse came to me. She's like, can we step aside? I have to talk. And she said the news, and she started crying. I started crying, and she said, do you need a minute? I'm like, yeah. So I got into the waiting room, and I just sat there in this very complicated feeling of grief and also relief at the same time, because I'm sad that I lost my mother, and I'm sad that I lost this figure who, although I resented at times, she's still literally my hero because she taught me how to be the way that I am today. But then also understanding that I have full freedom now, and what am I going to do with that freedom now that I don't have to be in a role of a caregiver? And I told myself at that time, I don't need to have the answer right now. I guess I just have to focus on the services, and I've never obviously done this before. So calling everyone that I could call to just break the news to them. And then my family knew, and then started planning the memorial services, thankfully with my godmother, her best friend, Carmelita. And even that was so complicated because I'm just so glad that I had at least an adult figure to guide me through it, because her family they just didn't want to show up. They were like, oh yeah, we can help, like, pay for this. You'll pay us back. And like, you know, these are all the things that we have to do. This is what we want. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, this is, and going to the memorial service and having all of like these people like saying how sorry they were. I'm like, fuck all of you. I'm like, you don't.
Where were you before?
Where the fuck have y'all been? Like all of these years, every time that she's been at the hospital, every time I had to like wake up in the middle of the night to take care of her, none of you people were here. None of you people were here to support me. And now you want to say how sorry you were? I'm sorry that I have to go through this right now because, one, I'm 23 years old. My mother just passed. All you bitches are here for your own purpose. I don't know why. And truly my saving grace during all of that was just my chosen family. So Justine, obviously, and another couple, like my group of friends that I met in high school. I had them all in the front row. And when I got up to speak, it was like, I'm just speaking to myself and these 7 people that are important in my life. Sure, there's all these other people in the room. I don't give a fuck about y'all. And I mean, sure, there's maybe 1 or 2 people that I'm like, sure, I respect y'all, but these 7 people who have been there the whole time, this is who I'm addressing right now. And yeah, after the services, it was a chance for me to restart. Now I can rest. And that's when this idea of self-care really started to take play, because for all this time, from, for 10 years, I was just being an adult. And I guess from 23 up until now, that's another 10 years. Now I'm like, I can live like a kid again. Like I can now finally understand what it means to live like a kid in a candy store, right? But I have the self-awareness of an adult. So I think that's essentially why I have this playfulness. I have this very like whatever about life, because
what, it can be taken away just like that?
Not necessarily, but more of, I didn't get to live that. So now I get to live like that now, and I owe it to myself to give myself that experience that I didn't have.
And how many of her family members have showed up after that?
None. None at all. I don't even know where they are. I don't know where they live, and I don't care. Have they tried to reach out? Yeah, sure. But my boundaries are set. I'm sorry. Like, it's very much, I'm not here for y'all. Y'all weren't here for me, so I'm not here for y'all. I tried. It was like the first Christmas that she was gone. I arrived, and I had a cousin tell me, "Oh, we didn't realize you were coming." I'm like, ugh,
what?
Now we're starting. This is how we're gonna start. All right, cool. Yeah, never showed up ever again. And then maybe a couple years, maybe like a little over, maybe 5-6 years ago, I tried to reach out to some aunts and uncles, thinking to myself, maybe I can be the better person and try. Nothing really from that. And then most recently, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, no, a year ago, I had an uncle reach out to me from California because her 10-year is approaching in December. And I would assume that they probably want to do something in her memory for having this milestone. And because there was this urgency to reach out to me. No idea why. I had so many family members try to reach out to me. We miss you. We care about you. We just want to know how you're doing. She's doing fine. Baby girl is doing just great without y'all. And my uncle told me, hey, can you please respond? I think your mom, who is in heaven, would appreciate it if you replied.
Oh, God. Now they're guilt tripping you?
Didn't work. She don't feel guilty. Try again.
How supportive was your godmother, Carmelita?
Oh my gosh, Carmelita.
Because you still do holidays with her, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So Carmelita and my mom met. So my mom's name is Veronica. So Carmelita and my mom met in, I want to say, at the hospital, because she was a nurse and my godmother was a administrative person on the floor. So they would kiki. That was her best. That was her bestie.
Okay.
Okay. I think the equivalent is like you have your Jake, right?
And would you guys be close while your mom was still around too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So she was always around.
Always around.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Always around. So she was essentially like a second mother figure to me, as much as she could. And she too was a single mother taking care of her daughter. So, I mean, the fact that she was also trying to show up for me as well, I mean, I just applaud her for that as much as she could. She was also there for a lot of the appointments, picking her up from the hospital when she could. She was showing up for sure.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, they met. I think around the time when, like, in their early 30s. That's when they met, and she'd been in her life ever since. And they were just trying to raise their kids together. So like my god sister Melinda, like her and I essentially grew up together. They would do holidays together. They would do vacations together. So a lot of my like family upbringing was with them.
That's cool.
Yeah, which was honestly great. And they're still in my life today. Love them so much. My godmother, or my ninang, which is Tagalog for godmother. Still around. She's still kicking. She just celebrated her birthday. Can't remember how old she turned though.
Happy
But
belated, yeah.
yeah, I know. And yeah, like they were honestly inseparable. They were like, it was like every other weekend we'd go to their house, go to the mall, and just, yeah, they were just, yeah, we're here, we're single moms, bitch. Yes, like they were just living their best lives. Let's go to the casino. Let's go to the buffet. We're going, and even to this day, my ninang does that now, where it's like, hey, ninang, what are you up to? Oh, me and my friends were planning a trip to Dubai. Oh, bitch, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to London. We're going to do this. I'm like, fuck yes.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think my mom, to her, was very much like her rock for sure. So
Yeah.
when my mom passed, that was very devastating for her. My mom definitely helped her out in a very nasty relationship that, like, truly, I will never forget that. She was in a very abusive relationship. And how I knew my mom was a badass bitch was when we were there for the weekend. Her ex-husband, I don't know what her attachment to that guy was, but he was there. He was causing a scene. They just moved into this townhouse, and at one point, me and Melinda, my god sister, we like started creeping by the stairs to see what was going on. There's a lot of yelling and commotion downstairs, and finally my mom was just like, get the fuck out of your house. And he was like, what? You can't kick me out. Like, no, you're endangering not only my best friend, but you're endangering our kids. Get the fuck out of this house. Kicked his ass out of the house. Here's your shit. Here's your jacket. Here's your this. What about my keys? No. You're not welcome back in this house. That's how I knew that she was a badass bitch, because she kicked out the homeowner out of his own house. I would never have I mean, now I would. Hell yeah. But she kicked out the owner of this house.
Yeah.
Get out of your own house. Bye. Yeah, never came back.
Wow.
Never came. I mean, I think he did, but she was just like, just so you know, I don't like you.
Sure.
I don't fuck with you. Just so you know. And yeah, I think she like fully left that relationship after, which... Thank God, because he was trash. So
That's wild.
yeah.
Is there anything like unresolved? I'm sure there are with your mom, or like, is there any part of you that wishes like she could, I'm sure, see you now?
I think so. And on a spiritual level, I still try to connect.
Yeah.
I'll just like sometimes close my eyes and be like, Mom, I don't know what to do right now. But she always instilled in me that she's like, I know that when I'm gone, you're gonna be okay. I know you're going to be okay. She always reinforced that. Like, the world, she really taught me some really core life lessons that, hey, the world is a very scary place. It's going to be very unforgiving. It's going to be, there are good in things, but just know with all this good, there's also kind of the shitty parts of it too.
Yeah.
So you are going to have to show up. You're going to have to be unapologetic. You're going to have to take up space. And I didn't understand it at the time.
So she said these things?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as someone who's younger, we definitely don't appreciate that at the time.
Oh, no. Like, even just applauding me with, like, hey, you know how to cook at this age. Most kids your age don't know how to do this. And right, that 50-50 split of, I'm happy that I know how to do this, but also like, I shouldn't be doing this right now, right? And I didn't appreciate it then, but I appreciate it now. Because some of y'all at home don't know how to cook, which is a little scary. Some of y'all don't know. Basic shit like eggs, babe. You should know how to do that.
Genesis makes some fire eggs. Oh, man.
You burned water? What? Oh my god. Yeah, so she, like, aside from all that, because I'm not trying to paint her as an abandoned mother, right? But she obviously was parenting from afar. So a lot of our relationship was over the phone. So I had this I would have conversations with her daily, right? And just, she was always, I would tell her like, hey, these are some of the things that are going on, and these are things that are going on with me and my friends. And she would always just say like, hey, keep your head up. Like, this is, yeah, that's the reality that we are living in. People are going to be trash. And it is up to you to really navigate these waters, be yourself, be as authentically you as possible.
Yeah.
And obviously her family didn't like that. They wanted different expectations for her and me, and her, like, her mindset was, this is my son. My job as a mother is to love and appreciate him and support him with whatever he wants to do, and that's my role in that. And although I didn't get the stellar expectations of what I wanted from life, whether that be school or just having a parent around every day, what I got from her was me being the unapologetically me today. So I think for me, I would rather have that. I'm so happy now as an adult that I have that mentality, that I have this mindset, because not everyone does. And it always baffles me when I have conversations and people don't have similar values in how they navigate the world. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, but you are you, and you should take up space. Like, oh, I can't, I'm too scared. I'm afraid of what anyone thinks, or everyone's gonna think of me. Oh, fuck all these people. Like, right, that's my mindset, right? I don't give a shit. And I mean, yes, give a shit, but to a degree, right? And I don't understand that. And it took me a while to really realize, oh, right, because those were the lessons that she was telling me all this time. And just building this resilience, for however many years since I was a kid up until now. So, I mean, I would say that, yeah, as much as I was mad at her for all the things that I didn't get, on the flip side, I'm just so happy that I am this resilient, unapologetic person today. Because I think you can't put a price on that. You can't buy that. I can't go to the store and buy that. You can try. But you can't, there's no price on that.
At the same time, it's hard to teach that. It's something you have to live through, right?
You do.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So if you were to go, did you go to college eventually or no?
My resume says I went to college. Sure does.
What would you have studied if you did? What did you study?
What didn't I study? So, I was a high school dropout. I got a GED. That's my highest level of education, and I'm proud of it. And it's wild when I tell people that, and their response is, "But you're so smart, babe."
The streets.
First of all, that was a backhanded comment. Right? But you're so smart. You talk well. Fuck you. Just what? That doesn't okay. And you have a master's and you're a dumbass. How does that work? Right? How does that work? So I really wanted to go to New York or LA. I really wanted to go to fashion school. That was the goal. That was the dream. Is that still available and on the table? 1000%.
Is school necessary to excel in those industries?
I don't think school is necessary, period.
Yeah.
I mean, school to me and academia to me is it's standardized. It's a way to conform to society. A lot of it is just bred in whiteness and white supremacy.
Sometimes it's networking.
Sometimes you can network at any time, though.
That's true.
We don't need to be at a school to network. That's true. Right? Yeah. The school can host a networking event. Boom, you're there. Yeah, and so anyway, so I really wanted to go to fashion school. So there was a point in time when I think it was 18. I went out to New York, and I was thinking about going to Parsons for fashion school, and then I flew out to LA, thinking I was going to possibly go to FIDM,
which is what?
The Fashion Institute of Merchandising, and. So really I wanted to go not only to learn about fashion, but the main concentration was in merchandising.
Okay.
Which is essentially, that's what I did throughout all the majority of the jobs that I've had. And then at Lush, that's what I did there. So I learned a lot about what I needed to learn through just working.
Yeah.
And I'm still obsessed with it to this day. And, is it something that I want to go back into? Maybe. But I feel like I'm exhausted from that career path at the moment. So, but yeah, that's essentially what I wanted to do.
So,
but I did do that. Now that I think about it, I did do that.
Well, and what was the next step? Because was it Lush or something else before Lush?
Was there something before Lush? I mean, so I've done like in-store merchandising before, but with Lush, that was like the pinnacle. I was doing it on like a corporate level at that point. So to me, that was like, wow, I didn't need to go to school at all. Although I lied, but did I mean, I did enroll.
Would you consider that faking till you make it? Fake it till you make it?
See, faking it would be like a pretending, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, I have the skill, but you're locking the door on me because I don't have a piece of paper. But if I tell you if I have the piece of paper, I have the skill.
Crazy how they don't really vet all that.
I am a Harvard graduate, magna cum laude, magnum cum loudly, honors.
Oh man.
I spoke at the graduation. People cried. And then I moved from Boston. See what I mean? Like, so I think faking it till you make it is you're not only doing that, but you're also faking the skill set. You're pretending you know the skill set and you're pretending to know about the industry. So that's why I'm like, I don't think it's faking it till you're making it. For me, I'm unlocking doors that are locked for me because I'm underprivileged.
Sure.
So I have to barge my way in order to, I'm getting in this fucking door. So I did go to college though for like some classes. I just didn't finish. Like I would go for like a little bit, but then, life happens and I had to unenroll or put it on pause.
Yeah.
So on my resume, it says the time that I went to school, I never said I finished school.
Sure.
So it's like we can take it into certain contexts, like, right? So yeah, and then I've told employers that like after the fact, and they get so astonished. They're like, but you know everything, or you know about this role. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what the fuck I've been trying to tell you.
Yeah.
But everyone is so fixated, or this industries are so fixated on if you did or you didn't.
Maybe
right?
that seems to be the average of like, if they have this degree, then they'll be somewhat adequate. Yeah. So did you climb a ladder within Lush, or did you have this role from the get-go?
I climbed. So this was pretty much right after my mom passed, and I was working at a restaurant at the time with another good friend of mine, Melanie.
Shout out Melanie.
First of all,
Podcast coming soon.
That's my bitch. I love her so much. That's my boo. I'm seeing her in 2 weeks.
That's another tangent of like just that chosen family, right?
Yeah, chosen family, and that's really, she is definitely, obviously you, her, like, I'm so appreciative of the chosen family that I have today, and so I met her working there, and she eventually became my roommate. And we were both living in the house in the apartment that like my mom passed in, but yeah, so I was working there, and I'm like, I really don't want to work in a restaurant anymore. And at the time I was just obsessed with Lush, loved everything about it. So I picked up a seasonal job, worked there for the Christmas holiday. And I was let go after the Christmas holiday because they thought I wasn't going to be a good fit to be part of their permanent staff. See, bitches fuck up on me all the time.
Okay.
Bitches be sleep on me. So
what was the seasonal role? Was it a role that they didn't
just
get to see you shine?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And same, yeah, they were just like, oh, we don't know. We don't. And trust, a lot of employers that I've worked for always say like, oh, we decided to just take a chance on you. I'm like, fuck you. I'm doing you a favor of working here. First of all, I don't need to be here. There's so many other places I can work at, but I chose to be here, so I don't need to be here. So yeah, I wasn't kept on, and then in the spring they gave me a call saying like, hey, we have an opening, are you interested? And I was like, yes, I would love to. So I started working there part-time. You
didn't hold any grudges?
No. Because why?
Oh,
why?
Well, there you go.
You know what I mean? Like, why? Because you're asking me to come back now.
Well, based off your initial reaction.
Oh,
of, like,
sure.
Them cutting
At first,
you, right?
I was like, fuck you.
Okay.
I got 90 days to think about it. And then I was like, okay, you're giving me a chance. Let me come in.
Was it the same role, sales?
Yeah. So I started working there as a sales associate part-time.
Which store?
Bucktown.
Oh.
Stomping grounds. So happy.
Cool.
I was like, oh, my neighborhood, my baby.
What is it about Lush? For listeners that don't know what Lush is, like, what is it, and what do you love so much? What did you love so much about it?
Yeah, so Lush Cosmetics, they are, every time I share, people think it's like a makeup store, but essentially they're very well known for this thing called a bath bomb. So it's this round ball made out of baking soda, other essential oils, and all that, and they make them very, very pretty, all handmade. They source ingredients from all across the globe and the world. They do a lot of environmental advocacy, human rights advocacy, all that, and they are a company from England. And they started essentially expanding their businesses overseas, so they came to the States, everywhere. And their head office in North America is based in Canada. So they started out, I believe, in Canada and then made their way into the U.S. I was introduced to Lush when I was working at Apple for a little bit. He was someone who's English and got so hyped that a Lush store opened in the mall that we were working in. And he was like, I have to tell you about this, because he walked past me. I was like, you smell so good. What are you wearing? And he pulled out this little, it looked like chapstick, and he said, it's a solid perfume. You just like rub it on your skin and then work it into the skin. I was like, wait, you're not rubbing chapstick on you, right? And he's like, no, it is a perfume. I'm like, all right. Rubbed it on. I was like, oh, this is great. So I went, and everything just looked like food. I don't know if you've ever been to a Lush store before, but everything essentially looks like a grocery store. And I believe that's what their inspiration was behind the concept of the store, is that they are food grade ingredients, but it is formulated in a way that is beneficial for your skin. And became obsessed. Transitioned a lot of my products to Lush stuff. And even to this day, I still use a lot of their stuff, because to me, it's just, one, very nostalgic, and I love their goodies, but I just can't find formulas that are like this.
Interesting.
And so when I started working there, even like the lore behind some of the products and like how they were formulated, the smells, I just got obsessed. So it was for me being like a fangirl working at the store, and started working there, and over the years got really interested in how they merchandise, why they do the things the way that they do.
And how did that escalate? Like, did you ask, or did they ask or let you know that there was an opening, or?
Yeah, they asked me. So they asked, hey, we have like a visual merchandising concentration in the store. Do you want to participate? We know that you have this very extensive background in merchandising. We think you'd be really fun, it'd be fun for you to do it here in store. I'm like, great, do it. So that was like my special side project over the years. So when I was a sales associate, then I became like a supervisor in training. Then I became a supervisor. Eventually, at that time, I started networking with the corporate office in their merchandising team, specifically around store openings.
How?
So they started rolling out this expansion plan that they wanted to refresh some of the stores, like remodel them, and also build new stores.
Well, how did you rub shoulders with them?
Oh, yeah. So once I learned about that, I reached out to the merchandiser, a member from the merchandising team that I had been in contact before, and I asked, hey, I noticed that there is a remodel that's going to happen here in Oak Brook, and I was wondering if I could just shadow for a day. Can I just see what this process is like?
Yeah.
I'm at a place where I'm at a supervisory level now. I've been doing merchandising in store for a while. I've done a lot of things in store to do, to boost sales, all this stuff. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. Like, if your manager is okay with it, absolutely. She was, thankfully. And I partnered with someone from the VM team, and I went out to Oak Brook for a day. I got to see what the process was like. I got to write on the walls, which was really fun. And then after that day, I remember going home from that experience. I'm like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. And immediately got home and reached back out. Hey, I love this experience. I'm more than happy to volunteer here and there, wherever. And then they let me know, hey, we're actually interviewing for a on-call role because these stores are opening. We would love to have merchandisers on an on-call basis travel out to these stores and then go back to their stores to resume their work. Are you interested in that? Yes, I am. So I started interviewing for the role. And then I was like, I'm a bad bitch. I got this. I'm gonna be traveling the world. You bitches don't know what's gonna happen. Hey, Genesis, we are sorry to inform you, you are not moving forward. Well, fuck all you hosts. No, just kidding. Like I was obviously devastated and feeling not like I was good enough. I remember going home and I was just fucking like, I was just exhausted. I'm like, but I've gotten to this point. I've been working so hard. I deserve this. And I remember me and Melanie was just like, hey, you know, maybe it's just not the right time. Maybe that's what it is right now. I'm like, you know what? Fuck you, but you're right. Okay, fine. Sure enough, I think maybe a couple months later, they were like, hey, we're actually hiring more. We realized that they only hired 2 people the first round. We need to hire 3 more people. Are you interested? Fuck. Fine. So at this point, they were like, they said, we're not going to interview. We're offering you the role.
Ah.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, your first job is going to be in New York. Period.
Oh, shit.
Flew out to New York.
Yeah. Is this the first time in New York?
No.
Okay,
No.
okay.
What they didn't tell me was like, okay, here's the address of the store. You bitches told me this was in New York. And they're like, yeah, it's in New York. This is Long Island. That is not New York, babe. Sorry, forgive us, we're in Canada. That makes sense. Fine, you're Canadian. I get it. Go out to Long Island. And it was great. I had a great time. And from there...
And that was your first assignment?
That was my first assignment, yeah.
Was it nerve-wracking? Was it successful? How did it go?
It was not successful.
Not successful?
It was
In what sense?
Shit show.
What was the metric? Like,
So the metric is... so the format of the store opening is you, at least at this time, you're given the assignment, you're given the store that you're going to, you're given the merchandising plans for the shelves and all that, and then you're there to also teach the managers and the staff on how to set everything up, why it's important, and how to upkeep the store. Great. I go. Contractors already like, hey, yeah, we're behind schedule. We haven't passed our fire inspection yet. There's still stuff like all over the floor. I'm like, okay, this is not good. Great. So we were not able to open on time.
so what happens? Do you start taking on more responsibility, or you have to delay your process?
Delay the process, yeah, essentially. Okay. So I had to delay the process and then flew back home, and then they had to reassign someone else to continue it because it was essentially a contractor fail.
Sure.
Like the construction team was responsible for that. So it was a little devastating. I was like, fuck, this is my first assignment and I'm already like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this to be on me.
Reflected on you.
Right? And thankfully it wasn't. They were very understanding. Like, hey, these are some things that you can do when stuff is like this. Great valuable lessons. And then my next assignment from there was Vegas. Bitch.
Damn.
I was like, when y'all say Vegas,
do
you mean Vegas?
Vegas?
Do you bitches mean Vegas? And it was on the Strip. Your girl got put up in Treasure Island. I was like, yes, I'm going to get fucked up. I'm here in Vegas. You bitches don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm on a work trip. I'm unsupervised, man.
That's so funny. Did you bring friends out?
I didn't, but at the time they were also training some interior architects, like designers. So they also came out. Some people from the head office came out. So
you had to be on your best best behavior.
No, we were ratchet.
Oh, really?
We're like, okay, day one's a wrap. Everyone can go home. And then we all looked at each other like, we're
not
going
going
out. Like, yes. So we went out. Shit was put on the corporate card. I just remember the next day arriving and I'm like, okay, everyone, day 2. Everyone just, I'm barely breathing. And I think I'm still drunk from the night before. Yeah, and that was a success. So it felt really redeeming to be like, oh, thank God, the second one's a success. And yeah, and then for a year or 2 years, pretty much, that was my life. I was traveling around the U.S. and opening up these stores, and I'd come home for a little bit, fly out again. I was on the road for a lot, and at some point, they mentioned, hey, we are thinking about transitioning this on-call role to a permanent head office position. And I was like, okay, this is something I know I have to go for. But there are 5 of us that are doing this role. So only 2 of us can move forward. So who's going to win? I don't know. So super nerve-wracking. And I told myself, you know what? I've come this far. I've been able to not only juggle a corporate role, but also an in-store role. And that was my leverage. It was saying that, hey, not only...
Is that different from the other 5?
The other 5 were either just still sales associates or supervisors. And I think at this point I was an assistant manager while I was also doing stores. So I mentioned, hey, I'm managing a store and I'm also able to do this. I can understand better now how the system works as a manager. And so that was really, and I think kind of to my point earlier, where I'm telling you that I have the skill. I don't give a fuck about this resume anymore. I am telling you that I have the skill, and clearly it's reflected in my work. So this is what I can bring to the table, and I got picked. Yeah. So me and another girl, Sarah, which she's from Boston, and she was, I mean, throughout that whole experience, she's been like my work rock when we were both there. And it was so great. I mean, like, we were just flying in and out of Vancouver. I was in like the UK. I went to Manchester. I went to London. Justine knows I'm really bad at geography. There are some places on this map I don't know where I am. I just know that I have to get on a plane and arrive somewhere. Remote places in Canada. I went to where Shawn Mendes was born. Babe, he is born in is ghetto. I was like, this is where he's from? And what they got going on for them there is just 2 universities and a prison. So I was like, ooh, thank God he got out. And it was a lot of fun. But it started to take a toll on me because I would only be home for like a weekend, and then I'm back on the road again. In some cases, and you can ask Justine, there'd be days where I would come home from the airport. I would meet her at like Lady Gregory's.
Oh, yeah. I
would have my suitcase still. From the airport, straight to the restaurant, have dinner with her. She would drive me home, and then she'd like, hey, I'll just crash here with you. I'm unpacking my suitcase for the next day.
Oh, God.
Yes. So it also came to a point where I had 2 suitcases. I would have a suitcase pre-packed for the next trip. So I would just come home, drop off the old suitcase, pick up the new suitcase, and then go. So I was essentially a young business traveler, and I got to learn about what that was like. And it was extremely taxing on my body because on paper or in story, it sounds luxurious, right? Like, bitch, I'm traveling all these places, right? But I don't think what people realize is majority of the time I'm just on a plane, like 5 hours.
Did you I'm sure you were well compensated. Did you feel important? Was there status there? Was there prestige there?
I think there was
it
never
business class? Was it
sometimes oh yeah sometimes if that was the only flight available, it's like, oh bitch, I guess I'm gonna have to wine and dine in the sky, girl. Whatever. Yeah. So there'd be times, and yeah, they gave me a corporate Amex card. Big mistake. Cheesecake Factory every night. Woo. Yeah, that was the thing. I would book hotels to the nearest Cheesecake Factory.
That's so funny.
In the mall, like okay, here's the Cheesecake Factory. What are the hotels near this Cheesecake Factory? I was that bitch.
We can go to a Cheesecake Factory sometime. We haven't done that yet.
I fucking love Cheesecake
All
Factory.
right. Let's do it.
It's funny you mentioned that. Me and Mel, because I'm heading out to her in 2 weeks, and her and I have this plan to go to Cheesecake Factory and then go to Dave and Buster's after. Which, yes, I love Cheesecake Factory. But yeah, it was so taxing on my body. It was. I mean, yes, the status is there. I never really let that get to my head, and I think it's just like, because I knew what it was like working as someone who was just seasonal, and then I got booted, right? So I understood for some of these folks that were working there how it was important to work in these roles, and it was like, and some managers too, they were like, we really thought you were going to be like this, like I'm a head office or I'm a corporate bitch, and I'm like, see, I didn't grow up that way though. So like at the end of the day, I'm here to have fun. I just want to make sure that y'all are taken care of. Let's just have a good time. Let's put on some music. Y'all want pizza? We're ordering out. Like we're gonna charge it to this card. Like let's have a good time. Because the how the day went, it was pretty much we're setting up 2,000, 3,000 square foot stores, and we only have 3 days to do it. And by day 4, the store has to open, and we're working 8 hours a day, so we have 24 hours to get this store open. So it was phrasing it as that urgency, and then at some point I was like, let's make it into like a game, like Project Runway. Like, okay, bitches, 8 hours until the runway. Like, we gotta go. Like, let's set up your shelves. Let's do this. Let's put stuff away. And
was that fun? Delegating and
it was a lot of fun. Oh yeah,
kind of
organizing
project,
things.
Every
right? project was different. I mean, there'd be days where I would arrive and a store was completed, or there'd be some days where I would arrive and it's like, ooh, the lights don't work, like, or there's nothing on the walls. There's no construction here.
In general, what's the thought process behind putting things in certain places?
I thought you'd never ask. So, merchandising is pretty much advertising.
Yeah.
But really it's taking consumer psychology and then strategically placing things where a customer can shop on their own without any help. So that's the idea. So a perfect case study is Target. Target is like the perfect, to me, the creme de la creme of merchandising, because to this day, they're still relevant. They've beat out all these other stores and they continue to strive, and it's become this popular thing to this day, right? And I think you too, you go to Target for toilet paper, you leave with 20 other things that you had no fucking clue why you have all this stuff in your cart. But the reason being is that their stores and all the products are laid out in a very specific way for you to buy and consume, and to do it without any help. So to give you an example, what Target do you shop at?
Most likely West Loop.
Perfect. Right off of
the
Halsted? LaSalle?
No. It's right off the expressway.
It's like 2 escalators that go up, right?
By Ashland. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Love that one.
How many Targets have you been to?
I've been to all of them bitches.
Because this ain't close to Genesis.
It is not. But for the previous place I used to work for, yeah, I would have to go to a lot of Targets to like pick up things.
Okay.
So let's start off with that Target. So you go up the escalator, and the ideas behind stores is that you want to keep consumers inside the stores for as much time as possible. Hence why a lot of stores in general don't have windows. So the idea is that you lose track of time when you're inside. You have windows, but just in the front, to let in light, to invite you in. And then once you're inside, the idea is...
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Okay? Right when you arrive, right, you get up to the top of the escalator, the first thing you see is a Starbucks.
True.
The purpose of the Starbucks, and this was smart when they partnered with them, is that... I'll just take a mom for an example. A mom has her daughter. Maybe she's a little like, I wish I had a coffee. I have to make 2 stops. I have to like go get my coffee or go get coffee after Target. So I'm going to rush to get what I need at Target and then go get my coffee. Well, now the coffee is here. They started implementing cup holders in their carts. So you can now buy your coffee, put it in the cart, and that keeps you in longer, that keeps you engaged, right? So as you're walking through, there's a place called Bullseye's Playground immediately after. It's like all the seasonal stuff. It's all really inexpensive things to entice you immediately
I
after.
didn't know that's what it's called.
Yeah, Bullseye's Playground. Immediately right when you walk in to put these additional things inside of your cart or your basket. So a lot of retail businesses rely on your units per transaction. So UPT, as they call it. So meaning how many items can one person buy on one trip? So the more items you buy, typically the dollars will go up. So they want you to buy as many things as you can. So Bullseye's Playground is immediately there to entice you to buy the small, inexpensive things, and you haven't even entered the store yet. You are in the lobby, babe, and you're already like, oh, look at this cute, and it's all seasonal, right? Like, oh, look at this little Christmas tree. Look at this Easter basket. Okay, so using the mom example, she has her baby. She's there for baby supplies. She's there for the diapers. She's there for the baby food. Oddly enough, all that stuff is placed in the center of the store, right?
Yeah.
So as you're navigating through the store, that mom is going to pass by women's, she's going to pass by beauty, and she's going to pass by, I don't know, like the sporting goods area, like sportswear, or women's wear, I should say. So the mom, now she's had her coffee. She got maybe a couple things from the Bullseye's Playground. She hasn't even reached the baby stuff yet, but she's like, oh, maybe a little makeup. Like, while I'm here, let me get a little makeup. Ooh, look at this. Look at these new, like, active shorts. Like, before I even hit in the women's section. Yeah, let me make this. So now she stopped 4 times already. She hasn't got what she needed yet. Okay? Then she finally gets to the baby stuff. And then right then and there, she got what she needed. Now she can head to checkout. So what originally started as a trip to buy diapers, she's got a coffee. She's got 2 things from Bullseye's Playground. She got the shorts. She maybe re-upped on some makeup. She essentially leaves with 7 things.
Wow.
And that's why it's in the center. And that's why all the women's stuff is like in the center. So then as you're traveling around, you hit all these items. Now we'll just take like a husband who's like, I really want my TV.
It's in the back. Yeah,
it's in the back. This bitch, and most men they want to be in and out.
Yeah.
So putting the electronics in the back, I guess for most men, that is like their highest clientele. Now, men are, right, or this demographic is forced to travel throughout the store towards the back. So instead of putting it in the front, electronics used to be in the front of stores before because it was like, this is, these are the hottest things, but they realize that, we're not milking as much from this. So we'll take a guy who's buying a TV. He has to pass menswear and grocery on his way to get the TV. As he's going, maybe pick up some activewear, maybe pick up some clothes. Oh, I got this TV. I need snacks. Let me get some snacks, right? So that's what really merchandising is. It's essentially consumer psychology.
It probably goes double for Black Friday. Like just the things that are on sale are probably past the things that they really want you to buy.
Correct.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. So
Costco's another good study too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, Costco's a great one.
Those,
IKEA,
like
I love IKEA.
Rotisserie chicken.
Yep.
$5 rotisserie chicken.
And we can even get granular, right? So for example, if you are even at the grocery store, we'll talk about, let's say, at the grocery store, you're looking for detergent.
Okay.
Let's say laundry detergent, right? If you're looking at a shelf, there's maybe 6 shelves. Tide will always be at eye level. It's going to be right there, and it's going to take up a majority of that real estate on the shelf. And the reason being is that Tide has partnerships with a lot of stores that, hey, not only do we want as many eyes on this as we can, but we want to take as much shelf space so that way we can...
So what are they giving the stores a kickback, or what are they doing?
Most likely. Yeah. So Tide will always be, in some cases, there might be a whole aisle of Tide, right? So Tide will always be right there front and center. And then all the lower brands, you'll start to see that kind of fall to the bottom because their best sellers are going to be right at the average height level here. If we think about like grocery or cereal, for instance, all the sugary, tasty cereals are at the bottom because that's where kids' eye levels are.
Yeah.
So kids will immediately grab that and then, kind of go from there. But yeah, so even where it is placed on a shelf, that's
Absolutely.
where
Real estate. You know,
It's real
most people
estate.
don't think of it as real estate.
yeah.
So what comes to your mind with the consumer experience as well as brand recognition? Like if you were to consult with the brand, what would you tell them in order to improve that client experience?
Yeah. So I think for a lot of, especially smaller businesses, there's this position of these things aren't selling, so I want to move them to the front so they can sell. But when you think about that, you're taking away really good real estate for your things that sell the best. If we take ESQ or Esquire?
ESQ.
ESQ, for example, right when you walk into his store, the first thing that you see right there are the shirts that he mentioned, right? He has suits. He sells all that. And I'm pretty sure those suits cost way more than
Well,
the
they're
shirt.
probably what you're coming for anyway, right?
Yeah. But he knows his best seller are those shirts. And that's why they're right there, right when you walk in. They're taking up the most real estate. And then as you navigate through the store, you get a little bubbly. You get a little comfortable. Let's sit down. Let's have a consultation.
This is the first episode after that little meetup that we had.
Yeah.
And Zenjen today said she'd love to host one herself at her salon. But what a pleasure to like bring everyone together.
Yeah. It's honestly, but yeah. So I think for businesses, really just relying on like what sells the best, like what is the like iconic product that you're known for, put in the front, like, and also organize your stuff in a way that's very enticing and also very easy for individuals to shop.
Especially with Lush, like, do you hit people with like texture and smells as well as the visual, right?
Right.
Which I don't know if you didn't mention this, but like you wrote all the
I wrote all of
chalkboard
it.
and
I did.
Did you have good handwriting before that?
No. No, I didn't. I had to relearn how to write. But yeah, so if you go to any store here, pretty much in Chicago, if you look at the walls, that's my handwriting.
That's
I
amazing.
essentially did that. And also to a lot of other stores around the US and in Canada. So that's me. I'm that bitch.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that was honestly one of the funnest parts. That was like the goal. The goal was like, I remember some of my first days working and learning that someone actually wrote that. I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I want to do that one day. And I got to do it.
So you had an end goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and then I reached the end.
You reached the end. So fast forward to the pandemic.
Trash.
Yeah, you were let go.
Garbage.
You were let go. And you had a string of other jobs afterwards.
I did, yeah.
From working from home, answering people's complaints.
Ugh.
Which it was very insightful to see the back end of that. You know,
Trash.
anytime you see someone, or you're on a website and a chat box comes up and like, how may I help you? It's like, that's Genesis.
That's me.
at his previous job. And what was that experience like? Catering to the consumer.
I was very thankful that I was able to secure a job at the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Originally, I got my severance, I got my unemployment benefits, but I was really nervous that I don't know what the job market's going to look like.
Yeah.
I don't know what these benefits are going to look like with the pandemic. So in my mind, I thought it would be more beneficial to just secure a job. At least I'm working.
Sure.
Like afterwards, right? And I did not like it. I went from traveling the world eating Cheesecake Factory on the company dime to hearing about people's fucking complaints on the phone or in chat boxes and whatnot. But what I am thankful for, though, is that I was able to work from home. So, I didn't have to travel anymore. So, the company that I had worked for was like a smoothie subscription delivery. So I got like free smoothies and whatnot. So I got free food. So, bonus. Yes, ma'am. Why not? So it was a good gig. But yeah, no, to be fair, consumers for the most part are, they're idiots. Like the customer's always right. No, absolutely not. I think that there is a good way to be a good consumer when you are, whether that be at a restaurant, at a store, and whatnot. I think understanding that you are talking to a human being.
Yeah.
And people remove that. People will see you as a object.
Oof.
They will talk. They will
As a
speak
chat
to
box.
as a chat box, right? Like, no, bitch, like, I'm a real. And sure, is that every conversation? Absolutely not. I've definitely had some folks saying, like, hey, are you real? I'm like, I am.
We get
100%.
philosophical on this chat box.
Yeah, right. And sometimes people do, and sometimes people need that. And I think that's what really outweighed some of the more negative conversations. It's just having conversations about, like, just life, right?
Yeah.
Like how whatever company I was working, how it affected them. Like in this case, like, having conversations of, like, I don't have any health food stores near me, so this was a really great way to get healthy food.
Yeah, sure.
Great. When I was working at Lush, right? Like, these things are really helpful for my self-care, and I love this stuff. Like, this is great. So I didn't last very long because I just couldn't handle the day-to-day. So it was just so mentally taxing and emotionally exhausting.
From my understanding, you had 2 other jobs after that, both in retail.
Mm-hmm.
With you bouncing around through these other jobs, like, how much of work do you derive fulfillment from? And if you don't find a lot of meaning through work, how do you what's your motivation to doing good work?
Yeah, it's very low. I can tell you right now.
Oh, God.
It's very low. For me, work, and even when my time at Lush too, it's like, even though that it was probably the most successful career that I had, it's like at the end of the day, I'm participating in capitalism. I am working for the man. I am like.
What does that mean? You want to work for yourself one day?
No. I'm a human being. I'm not meant to work. I don't have a dream job because I don't dream to work.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
And the reason being is that I understand that in this society, in this universe that I am in right now, capitalism, working, corporations, all that, it is embedded in our system. Fine. What I get fulfillment from, honestly, is me being able to leave work and understanding that after I leave this space, I can now not think about work. I can live my life. I can just rest. I can see my friends. That's what's really fulfilling for me is when because, right, some people leave work, they're like, oh, I'm always thinking about the next thing and whatnot. And that's fine. But
yeah.
I don't like working.
But
like, I don't like work.
Here's the switch in perspective. I mean, in this day and age, anything can be work.
Yeah.
Right. And so what would your dream job look like? And I'm sure your dream job could in some form incorporate people that you enjoy working with and respect and look up to. You're fairly compensated. You're giving back. Those things that are ingredients to a sense of fulfillment from work. What kind of job would that look like for you?
I have no idea.
Yeah. No, but
oh, sure.
There could be a job
There
like
could be
that.
a job. There could be.
And why wouldn't you want to go work for yourself? Because then you're in full control. What if this whole thing was a job? What if I started getting sponsors, right? What if people paid for me to interview people? On the flip side, I might lose some creative control. People might dictate who and what I talk about. Which, that'd be another conversation. But
right.
I think if I don't get any money from this right now, but what if I have the opportunity to talk to people I look up to and admire and respect, and this is my creative outlet, and I get paid to do this? Like, what if,
I think for me, and like with working in general, it's just I personally, and like my core belief is that we are human beings. We're not meant to work. Working to make money is just it. I mean, it's embedded in like I mentioned, capitalism and like white supremacy, and like just because we're fed this idea that we're supposed to work as humans, right? We could be living like animals. Like, I want to be eating mangoes. I want to have my titties out by the ocean. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But the fact that and you can see we're at this place now where the systems are starting to crumble. Banks are failing. Corporations are having all this like stuff. And even if you think you work for yourself, you still don't. Yeah. You're at the mercy of someone else at all times.
Yeah, clients
right?
and stuff.
Clients and things like that. So those things, it just doesn't.
It's funny.
It's not motivating.
It's so
for
interesting
me.
you see that.
And wait, and let me go even further. Yeah. Right? Someone told me one time, like, you don't dream to be a CEO? No. And if I was, I want to be on the board. I'm like, why? Because the CEO is controlled by the board. So at any moment, I can just be like, you're a bitch ass CEO. Bye. And now that person's kicked off. Like, really? Like, it's a game, babe.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and so I don't want to play. I'm not here to play. And for me, what's fulfilling for me is being able to just do what I need to do and leave so I can just live a very comfortable life. And what's fulfilling for me, and kind of like I mentioned before, is just like saying fuck you to these systems and embracing my laziness and embracing non-productivity when I'm outside of these roles. And I mean, what would be really fulfilling for me is honestly just promoting that message, just dismantling this idea that I need to be productive all the time. I need to overshare. I need to make money. I need to do all this. You don't have to do any of that.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't have to, but we are in a system where we have to participate in some way. So how, for me, it's like, how can you participate while still also taking care of yourself, but not having this mentality of working is the only way I'm going to get to that fulfillment, or I can only get to, for me, I can only get there if I'm successful.
So at this point, what are your ingredients to a sense of fulfillment?
For me, for fulfillment is resting. Love rest in all pillars.
And what does rest look like?
So rest, yeah. So I think when individuals think of rest, they just think sleeping, right? Or when I said rest, what was your first thought? Just taking a nap?
Video games, yeah. Taking a nap, yeah.
But rest can be so much more. So that's just physical rest. So that's passive, right? Like if I take a nap, yes, that is a form of rest. But then there's also spiritual rest, right? So for some, that might be going to church. That might be, like listen.
Could be podcasting.
Books, podcasting, right? Creative rest. I love listening to music. Like I go to a museum, like look at some art, make some art, right? You have social rest. That could be talking with your friends, having conversations, things like that. And you can do all that for free, right? And it doesn't have to be monetized. I think
that's your relationship with money. I think money would allow me to do some things.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So like specifically with the EMT class, my big goal for 2024 is to start a nonprofit that expands the awareness of emergency medicine as well as create scholarships for people in financial need. And so there are people, although our tuition is under market value, there are people that still struggle financially.
Oh yeah.
Right. So to create a vessel to create scholarships for these people, that takes work. I'm creating something, right?
Yeah.
And I'm building a board and all that stuff, and I'm finding grants, and that's hard work. And
see, and I don't like, and then for me, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to be horizontal. And I'm not saying that I don't value what you're doing, right? Like that's not the intent in the conversation. I think it's like I admire that so much, and I love that people do that.
You've acknowledged that you have to participate,
and I don't want to participate.
But here's the thing: what if you can create systems where you do feel fulfilled in that participation? Yeah. Like the happy hour that we did recently. That to me was an example that we can create our own systems. You can create your own network, and you can choose who you do business with.
Yeah, I think what would be like. I think what would be super fulfilling is just helping people outside of their work life. Like, like if we were to remove.
So what, like a therapist?
See, that's different. You're still like in a way, sure, but more on this idea of how to really rest, how to not work in the system, how to like almost remove yourself.
So you want to give people advice for free?
If I could, yeah, why not?
Well, you can. I mean,
I'm doing it right now.
You're probably going to do it through your podcast as you're using you and Melanie as examples of doing that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, okay, here's the thing.
I don't want to make money off of it, truly, and I think.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Why not? Because people sometimes associate money with the value of that content.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. I think that's an issue, right?
But it is what it is.
It is what it is, but I think that the mentality of because I'm paying for something, then it is worth more. The interesting thing is that a lot of what I know and a lot of what a lot of other people know who have practiced rest and self-care, that's free.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I don't want to monetize off of it because it's already things that we don't, it's nothing that we already know. Like, we know how to do these things.
Yeah.
It's just how to unlock it, right?
Yeah.
And just because I charge people, or just because it's $100 and Homegirls is $50, that doesn't make me better than her. And it just, and I think that's the issue with like the value.
Not necessarily,
system.
but we all have bills to pay. We all live in this system.
Which is, and that's why, for like, if I could just get a job that pays my bills, I'm Gucci with that.
But what if you were to marry the two?
No thanks.
Damn, really?
No.
I'm appalled.
I don't want to participate because that because for me, then I'm benefiting off of the bodies of these people, and I don't want to do that.
But they're benefiting from your service.
Well, and
it's
that's fine.
a win-win. There's nothing wrong with win-win situations.
There's nothing wrong with win-win, right? But I just, that's for me, and like my core values, it's against it. And
how am I supposed to give this EMT class away for free? As much as I'd want emergency medicine to be, everywhere. Well, and especially in third world countries.
Well, interestingly enough, like, we don't have the mentality of what life is like out of capitalism. If we took capitalism away, you can do that for free.
But how am I supposed to pay the bills? How can I do this for free?
Well, and see, like, I think to me that's the issue. Like, that's the problem. Like, the wall is the money thing.
Yes, and so here's the thing.
But I think what you're asking is, okay, so it's like, well, how then can we still participate, right? Like, and how can we still do that? And I think that for participating in like entrepreneurship and whatnot, I truly applaud people doing it. It's just not a life for me, and I've acknowledged that.
But you have full control on who pays for what, how much each thing costs, who you'd end up doing business with. Mm-hmm. You're in full control. You get to make those decisions.
Sure. Still no.
Yeah. Because ultimately you end up participating in a system that you already don't like for someone else that you are making money for.
Yeah. I would rather.
You'd rather.
I would rather.
That's so wild.
I would rather, because I can leave at any time. I'm not at the mercy of my clients. I'm not at the mercy of...
But you can pick which clients you work with.
Well, and they can leave at any time.
That's true. That's fine.
And which is fine. Similar to working for businesses that are already established. I can leave at any time. I can jump from thing to thing. And to me, I can get my health insurance. I can get my benefits.
Yeah.
Gucci. And then after that, I can go get my titties out, drink beer by the ocean. That's what I want, because I'm trading in working a 9 to 5 to working 24 hours a day. No, thank you.
I mean, you're right. I do work 24 hours a day.
Period. Don't want to do that. So I don't want to. And then there's more responsibilities and whatnot. I don't like that. So and trust me, people have been telling me time and time again, like, you're losing your potential, like, but you have some. I'm like, yes and no, right? The thing is that I can help the people nearest to me. If you want the help, it's there. I'm okay with that, but I don't need to monetize off of it. I don't want to monetize off my talents. And like, I already did that. I did it for someone else. I don't like it, and I don't want to work 24 hours a day. I don't want to have to worry about how my business is doing or the ebbs and flows of that. I want to be able to just have something steady. I think kind of like what was her name again from Chili Oil? Like, just
Souffle.
Yeah, just like what Souffle was saying, like, my bills are paid, I'm Gucci, I'm fine.
Yeah.
That to me, like, whew, fulfilling.
That's
like
stability.
I like the stability of that. At least for now.
Yeah. So
maybe will my mind change?
Although
maybe.
I'm working 24 hours, if it can feel like that, the freedom that comes with it to be able to do stuff like this, right? Like the freedom that comes with it, as well as there's no ceiling. Like, meaning like someone doesn't tell me you're making this much this year and you can only make 3% more next year, if that. There's no ceiling now. So my revenue, my income depends on how much I hustle, essentially. And now, I toe that fine line of hustle culture as well as rest as well. But it's all in the ball's in my court. Like, it's what I make of it, essentially. I get to choose who I partner with. Anytime a decision wants to be made, it's just one other person I have to ask. It's that. And I can pick and choose which clients, which students come in here, and so it isn't for everyone.
It's not.
And I appreciate you being honest.
Oh yeah, it's not for me. And truly, like, when people and it's not to say like, do I have that same freedom? And I think that's another thing. Like, freedom can look so different for other people. And for me, if I got the roof over my head, I got food in the fridge, that's freedom to me. Because most people don't. I don't need more.
The ability to bring the dogs to work, like that to me is huge.
Yeah. So I think that like and that might also being for me like living with less, living with almost nothing. Like, and even if it isn't like, if I can't obtain it, I'll get there eventually. But like, how much more do I need, right? Like, I don't feel like I need to have this creative control,
and that's probably
at work, right? Like, and even then, like, even if I work a 9 to 5, right? Like, and I think that's and whatnot, it's into even in those cases, it's not to say I don't have freedom. I can still say no. I can call off. I can. Last company said you have unlimited PTO. You fucked up. I'm not coming to work. and even then, like, right, there's still freedom in that way. You just have to exercise it. And I think that's what a lot of people don't know is that, oh, well, someone has to call off, so I have to go to work. Like, no, you don't. Like, you still have freedom in that stability, right? Like, you don't need to be a business owner to have freedom. Freedom is free. Like, freedom and freedom doesn't have to be monetized either. In my lens, like, just because you can buy X, Y, and Z doesn't equate to freedom. Like, and I guess that just depends on your goals, right? Like, if the goal is to do X, Y, and Z, then yes, then you're working and doing the thing to get to the goals. But on another lens, is that freedom? Like, you're hustling 24 hours a day, you're making all these decisions. Could that be freedom to some? Like, in my lens, it's not. Like, because then you're having to do so many things to like do the thing, and I don't see that as being free, because you're still.
It's interesting.
You're caught, right? Like, in my mind, you're caught in this like this business acumen and mentality. I'm like, it doesn't seem freeing for me.
I don't. Yeah, it's so limitless, and that's what's crippling. Like, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet all these individuals had it not been for this hustle, this podcast. And even though it's not monetized, I don't know, it's just, there is something to hustle culture in a way.
I hate it.
Yeah,
oh my God,
of course,
I hate it so
for
much.
sure. And there's a time and place
It's
for
trash.
it. There's a time and place for it.
No. No, don't.
Here's the thing, like,
Don't hustle.
When
go to bed.
When
Go to sleep. No. Well, okay, here's my thing. Like,
Do you think some opportunities are once in a lifetime?
No.
Like, do you think so if you miss it, it's going to come again?
Well, if you miss it, could it come again? I guess, but also give me some examples. Because Disney World could be once in a lifetime for someone.
Disney World's always there. Oh, in the sense of like, can you go? I don't know. I know a lot of things can be solved by, telling yourself make time for it.
Yeah.
But some things are so out of your some things are so out of your hands.
Give me an example of
whether
like,
let's say
once in a lifetime thing.
For example, for this podcast, let's say it's like a dream guest, that you had in mind, you prepped for, and they were in town for Chicago and something fell through and you couldn't connect or something like that. I don't know. It's just like one of those once in a lifetime things. And you don't know when the next time they'll be in Chicago, or you fucked up and they won't come on ever again.
Interesting. So then maybe similarly to Disneyland, that person still exists. They are still walking around. They still exist. They're there. So then I guess too, it's just making the time for it. So I guess once in a lifetime. Well, I guess every decision is once in a lifetime, right? Like, I can die tomorrow, girl.
Who was I listening to? I was maybe it was Rainn Wilson again. It was another like Thich Nhat Hanh quote, but he was asking what is sacred, and Rich Roll was asking what was sacred, and Rainn Wilson was like everything can be sacred.
Yeah.
And if you're the level of sacredness is dependent on the amount of presence you instill in that moment. So whether it's tying your shoes, washing the dishes, if you're fully present in that moment becomes sacred.
Yep. Washing my face is sacred. That is...
Yeah.
And believe it or not, people don't... Like, taking a shower, that is so sacred.
You take, like, candlelit showers.
I do. I take a shower in the dark every day.
Don't ask me how I know that.
Woo! Like, I light a that is a sacred practice for me because it is so recharging and revitalizing. Some people see it as a task. I don't. Like, or cooking, right? That could be like, I just need to feed this this meat vessel I'm in. But yeah, like washing my face, like doing, like, that is so sacred to me.
Yeah.
Being able to go home from work and just like eat and like watch YouTube. That is so sacred to me.
And that's another thing is like what we're trying to practice at home. Sometimes, not every time. We're guilty of like probably turning on Netflix while we're eating, but eating to eat.
Yes.
Right.
Taste all of the food. Like just being in those moments. Like and see, to me, that is like, you see how excited I am to talk about that because it's so unrelated to like working. It's just, and like all of that is like, it's just disgusting. I mean, I get it. I have to participate. I understand. But like, just people living their lives outside of it, just doing what they love. Like, that is so inspiring to me. And like, that's what fulfills me, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we round out the end of the episode and you're in your transition phase, if you could dream up, Justine recently showed me a hyperlapse of you playing The Sims and just designing your dream space, right? So like, what are some ingredients or something that is part of your ingredients to your next like work life? Like
yeah. So ingredients to my next work life, I'm not sure right now. I'm still exploring. I think right now I am in a really nice place where I'm just existing.
Yeah.
And I love that right now. And I think for my next place of work, I know that it does have to do something with people for sure. I want to be able to help people just either, whether that be in like coaching or something like that, and just how to.
There's lots of nonprofits for that.
Maybe like just understanding that there is more to life than just working, and how to separate your identity from work.
Sure.
Because right, some people can't.
Oh, absolutely. That's my parents.
Some people cannot. And that's what I mean. I'm like, I think being able to educate individuals on the dismantling of your idea of what you've been told, the house, the kids, the cars, the this, the business, the this. Fuck all that.
Was there a point where you were looking forward to that?
Yes, at times. And then I realized, there has to be more than this. There has to be more than that. But also, too, like, I don't live a heteronormative life. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's very different for me.
I mean, it could be with a husband.
It could. I don't want a husband either. I don't want that. I love being single. Let me just say.
All right, that'll be a part 2. That you got to come back for that.
Look, being single, babe, it is like, I know what the fuck I think, honestly, just independence is so fun for me. And I'm sure based on the history that I just explained, you understand why. But I think being able to educate people on their independence outside of working, well, and I'm not trying to demonize working or owning a business, right? Like I'm really trying not to. But I think just understanding, acknowledging, like, yeah, these systems are fucked up, and like.
Here's the thing: what if you created a nonprofit where you were paid by grant money to do this, not by clients?
I don't know. Maybe.
Right. So I feel like your issue is
here. Can you call someone?
Your issue is like where the money's coming from.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, okay. Here's. I know that there are individuals in life that are like, they can conceptualize but they can't execute. I know I'm one of those people.
Okay.
I cannot see the execution.
Can you coach other people to execute?
Sure. Maybe. I can coach people to. I feel like I have really good stance on like vision and things like that. But like when it comes to execution, sometimes I'm like, girl, I don't know what I'm doing. But, but yeah, I think that prioritizing self-care and what that means for you and how to help people identify where that care needs to be, I think would be super helpful. And I think maybe I do need to be a therapist. What do y'all think? Let us know. Let me know. Would you come to my therapy?
Where can you be found if you want to be found?
You can find me on Instagram at Ranch Dressing Blessing. Arguably the best condiment. I don't care what anyone says. You can
aside from Shiley oil.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Y'all, I can eat jars of this stuff right now. I am obsessed. But yeah, you can find me there. And very soon, you can also find me and Melanie at the Jen and Mel Show, where we talk about our daily lives, self-care, and just prioritizing your mental health, and what that looks like for two individuals who live far apart from each other.
I love it. I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
When can we expect it?
We should be expecting it hopefully by the end of the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Or fall.
Jenna, it was a pleasure.
Oh my God.
Thanks for being here.
No. Thank you, bitch.
You
Thank you for listening. Honestly,
you did great.
I try.
I learned a lot about you. I actually did not know that perspective on work, because you do good work, right? So it's like I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, and it's like I love what I do sometimes, but like if I could just if I could just be in a forest.
It's like we hate this system, but
I
like
hate it.
you have to participate.
You have to participate, but and I think participation again like can be
And the people
so many
that
different ways.
truly don't are on the streets, potentially.
In a way, yeah.
Right?
In a way, yeah.
Jen, you'll be back for another episode, I'm sure.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. We wish you all
Let me
in this transition phase, this rest period of yours.
Thank you.
And
yeah, invite me back. I'm ready.
Yeah,
Girl,
no,
let's film right now.
I'm
Cut
glad.
it. I'll just change real quick.
I'm glad we had this. I'm glad we made this happen. All right, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.